Welcome to the Bleav Podcast Network SoCal Sweat. My name is Anne McDaniels, a former NFL cheerleader and product manager turned actress and model who dreams of being a UFC fighter. Meow. Learning strategies to help motivate others leads me to bring you interviews each week from a range of athletes, experts in fitness and nutrition, and so much more. Thanks for listening to Bleav, the #1 podcast for working professionals, and let's push our endorphins to higher performance through SoCal Sweat. This is your host, Anne McDaniels, and welcome to another episode of SoCal Sweat. At 52 years of age, Stephen Jones was priming to compete as a bodybuilder until being hit with a pandemic. While at the top of his game, this certified personal trainer with a specialty in fitness nutrition shares his Formidable Physique program. Available for everyone, it's designed to guide you on the right path for success in cutting, maintaining, or building your physique. The goal is to make you look and feel better when facing the mirror. Stephen states, "I'm here to help you overcome your next hurdle, solve your next problem, and make the decisions that really move the needle." In addition, he says, "It's my life's mission to show you that age is just a number and that your fitness level, health, and physique can be better than ever before." And I now introduce to you Stephen Jones and his Formidable Physique program. And today we have Stephen Jones of Formidable Physique program. How are you today in Baltimore?
Good, Ann. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much. Well, before we introduce your program, could you please tell us a little bit about your athletic background growing up and why you became so interested in physical fitness?
Well, I think athletics and maybe more important, fitness and nutrition have always been a part of my life. I can't remember when it wasn't. So it had to have been from very early on. Of course, I played some sports, track and field type stuff mainly, but I've always been interested in physical fitness, improving strength, weightlifting. I love running. Been involved with the CrossFit community for a while too. So there's never been, I'm 52 years old now, and I can't think of a time when fitness and nutrition weren't my passion. It's always been there.
Sure. Were you ever in bodybuilding or figure or any kind of like physique program like on stage?
I've never competed. And kind of the Formidable program now, I just started writing this physique bodybuilding program about this time last year. So with the intention of competing or getting involved with bodybuilding. And I started writing it, and then I put it down for a little while, and then COVID hit. And I picked it back up and realized now's the time to start writing it so I can help some other people out with the same thing I wanted to do, which is, I didn't have the desire to compete in bodybuilding until about a year ago. So I started kind of just writing the program, getting it on paper, tweaking the program, and that's kind of where it is today. Now it's a pretty mature, effective program.
And I love that at 52, you're going to start bodybuilding, or you were going to.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Absolutely. Do you plan to do that again when things open up, or if they have like a social distancing type of competition?
I'm actually started working with an online coach several months ago. And a lot of this is online stuff now. So that's kind of where I've started. COVID hit, and then that's kind of taken a back seat. A lot of those competitions and things like that were canceled. Mm-hmm. So I've also hit the pause button on that for myself and concentrated on writing the program and using the program myself to improve my own physique and getting to the point where I'm comfortable getting up on stage and working with a coach in more of a full-time basis and seeing what kind of results I can get. But again, I'm 52, so competing in a senior division type of bodybuilding program is something I want to do. But more importantly, I'm just trying to help folks improve their own physique and get into a bodybuilding program so they can take to their own gym or use at their own home gym. So they've got a real plan to be able to use, and not just kind of going to the gym and lifting weights without a plan. So
Exactly. No, I think it's super inspiring, and even for your kids. And you have a full family and also a career in telecommunications, correct?
I do. I've been in telecommunications industry since right out of school. It's been over probably 35 years or so. And it's been a career. It's been good for me. But again, my passion is fitness and nutrition. And I've got a big family and 5 grandkids. So 6 kids, 5 grandkids,
Wow,
and
congrats.
pretty big family. So we're pretty busy. We're all involved with sports or athletics to some degree. So, yep.
I noticed in one of your videos that you were creating a pegboard for your sons. I love
That's right.
that. Was it in their bedroom that you did that?
Now, I was in the garage, but I've got a pegboard. One of the things I think is important, especially as we get older, are things like pegboard or even rock climbing type things to improve your hand strength, finger strength, injury prevention. I've got a few of those, and my boys tend to gravitate to that type of stuff. That those interesting, not just going into the gym and lifting weights, but hey, can you climb a pegboard? I mean, that
Lifestyle type of
is,
things.
yeah, that's so much more difficult than most people realize. If you haven't tried a pegboard or a rock climbing board, you don't realize how weak your finger strength is and your hand strength is unless you've tried that. And it's a great way to improve your hand strength, your finger strength, and prevent injuries, especially in the gym. I think it does correlate to injury prevention when you're in the gym.
Absolutely. What a fun dad you are, and very inspiring. Do you have all of your kids on nutrition programs and in the gym, or is it just kind of like what they gravitate to?
I don't have them on an official program, although they're certainly well aware of the Formidable program. They play soccer in high school right now, and my daughter dances. So they are in this gym quite a bit, and they like slinging weight around, but they're not per se trying to be bodybuilders or physique competitors. I mean, if you probably saw that video of my son. He's already very lean, and he's
Mm-hmm.
got some pretty good muscle on him already. He's not necessarily, we're talking teenagers, right? So they're not necessarily interested in a true bodybuilding program, but they're in the gym with their friends. They'll do the bench press and the bicep curls and the leg press and things like that. But they're not necessarily trying to improve their physique at this point of their life.
But it's great that in the age of popular video games and kids sitting on couches and being very lethargic and kind of eating from home, and childhood obesity is huge in this country. So I love that you're raising your kids that way. I was raised that way too, just like get up and be active. Not that I ever wanted to sit and watch cartoons, but how did this, while you were working in telecommunications, was just always a passion? Were you always kind of like thinking all this stuff on the side, always like thinking about what you could do in the future?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of overlap with my telecommunications career and my passion or my business for the Formidable personal training business or the program. Before COVID hit, I did travel quite a bit. And a lot of what I was trying to write with the Formidable program is a program that you could take on the road with you. There's so many people that are professionals and, working tons of hours or even traveling and don't have access to the gym. But, if you could have a real program where you could take with you when you traveled, so that when you got into those hotel gyms, or you could go to an LA Fitness or whatever the case may be, and you could take that program with you no matter where you were. So I traveled. I was on a plane and in a hotel every other week for many years before COVID hit. And part of the spirit of writing the Formidable program was to have that program to be able to take with me and continue the progress each week, even if I was on the road, and away from my home gym. I now had a program that I could use, workout logs that I could print out and keep track of my progress even when I was traveling. So that was one of the motivations for starting the program to begin with, is to kind of cater that to a degree to the business traveler or the professional who just needed a plan and not just go in the gym and just start lifting weights without a goal and a plan in place.
Absolutely. And I myself have traveled a ton, and you have to plan ahead sometimes. I mean, sometimes there's not a hotel gym or it just doesn't work at all. So you find ways to like run the stairs in the hotel
No
until you
doubt.
like, encounter someone shady in the back room. I've lifted lamps before. I've done push-ups on stools, desks, everything. But if there's a will, there's a way, really.
No
And
doubt.
I love a solid plan with that. So I think that's
The
a great
other
idea.
the other good, the other thing about Formidable, which, and I kind of spoke about in a lot of my recent posts, is it has the flexibility, not just in terms of the actual weightlifting part of the program, but I embrace a flexible dieting approach. So even for the professionals, the business travelers, folks like yourself that are traveling a lot, you know, no everybody nobody wants to be micromanaged in terms of you must eat this on this day, or here's my suggested breakfast for you: 2 eggs and a yogurt in the morning, and then have some tuna fish and for lunch, and try to micromanage that. I think the flexible dieting approach really works well for business travelers and the professionals who are traveling around, maybe spending some of their time away from their own home gym, and away from their own kitchen. But now you've got a flexible dieting approach where I'm not going to try to tell you you have to have tuna fish for lunch or a salad with chicken for lunch. I'm going to let you decide and just give you some parameters to stick to that are going to get you to where your goals are. So I think just from a weightlifting standpoint also, again, I'm not trying to micromanage and tell you have to do chest on Monday and legs on Wednesday. I tell you what you have to do through the course of the week and give you some suggestions and ideas, and then you get the work done and the results will come.
I love that. So the name Formidable, how did that come about for this program?
That's a good question. I tossed around several different names, and I kind of settled on Formidable because, again, I was probably 50, 51 at the time when I started thinking about the program and trying to come up with a good name. And I wrote it in the spirit of people mainly that are over 40, but certainly works for anybody. But sometimes when we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s, we tend to think that our best years are behind us,
Like you're
but I
old
don't
or
really think
something?
that's the case.
No,
It's
not
not the case. I think we're still formidable. We're still a formidable force to be reckoned with,
love
and
that.
you can still have, your best years are still ahead of you. You can still be extremely fit. You can still improve your physique. You can still put on muscle regardless of what the age is. So Formidable just seemed like a great fit and a great name for what I was trying to convey.
I love that. But it's also open to 20s and 30s if someone were to
Absolutely.
be beautiful.
I
And
have some parameters that I put in here that are in the spirit of people that are in their 40s,
sure,
that I think help with that. But this program absolutely works for anyone.
beautiful. Now, in this program, you have three different phases. You have number one is the cutting, number two is the maintaining, and then number three is the bulking. Can you break these down? And also, can you describe your micro and meso plans within each segment?
Sure. So they don't have to be in order. But however, I would say that 80 to 90% of the people that come to me or that purchase the program, a cut phase is largely the nutrition part, right? So most people want to lose a little bit of weight. They also want to put on muscle, but you can't out exercise a bad diet. And to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So when you are a bodybuilder or trying to improve your physique, and one of the things you want to do is to lose some weight, well, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So the cut phase, the spirit of that is my program will help you calculate what your calorie intake should be each day. And it will put you into a calorie deficit. And that is the means to losing weight. So, and then when you're in the gym, you're working out just as hard in a cut phase as if you were in a bulk phase. Okay. You are trying to put on muscle when you're in a gym, and you're not in the gym to lose weight. You're in the gym to put on muscle. But when you're in the kitchen and you're eating and you're planning your meals, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. So for many people, improving their physique is slimming down. And to do that, you enter the Formidable program into a cut phase. So you're eating at a reduced calorie. I highly encourage people to track their meals. Everything that they eat is tracked by an app. You can use MyPlate or MyFitnessPal. Any of those type of apps are just fine. But you've got to be able to track everything. Otherwise, you're guessing and you're probably likely overeating, which pulls you out of a calorie deficit. I'll talk about the bulk phase next. Some folks actually come to me or within the program, they're already lean. They're already sufficiently lean and they want to add muscle. So part of the bulk phase, it's somewhat of the opposite of the cut phase, right? So now you're eating in a slight surplus, not a lot of a surplus, but you're eating in a calorie surplus that supports muscle growth. And then again, you're in the gym. My program will help you understand the amount of volume in weight training that you need to do to improve the muscle groups that you want to focus on, because this is a physique program. So you're going to kind of take an honest look at yourself in the mirror and say, what do I want to improve on? Do my legs need to be bigger? Do my arms need to be bigger? For me, for example, I wish I had that big, long torso that a lot of people are, and 6'4" and a long torso. I'm 5'9", maybe 5'10" on a good day. I don't have a long torso. So what I try to focus on most recently is building up my traps, slimming the waist down, and improving my back width. That helps my physique look more like a little bit of a longer torso, so to speak. So you've got the cut phase, you've got the bulk phase, and then you have maintenance, which is really just what the name says. You're doing exercise volume in the gym that allow you to keep the muscle that you already have. Okay, so we're not losing it. We're not necessarily trying to gain muscle. We're doing the exercise program with volume that supports keeping the muscle that you have. And then when it comes to diet and nutrition, we're eating at our calorie maintenance. So we're not increasing our weight. We're not decreasing our weight. We're enjoying life, so to speak. I spent July and August for myself in a maintenance phase, which is basically
it's more lifestyle.
It's more fun, allowing you to not having to stress about being in a calorie deficit, right? So I know what, because I still track my meals quite a bit, but you don't have to. Once you understand how much you're eating throughout the course of the day and you track your meals for 2 or 3 weeks, you'll understand how many calories you're eating. So I spent July and August eating at a maintenance. I didn't per se gain or lose weight. And I was in the gym a little bit less than I would be if I were bulking, because my volume, the required amount of sets, so to speak, of doing my weight training was less in the maintenance phase. So a little bit, I love working out, but sometimes you need that break. You need that you don't want to always be in a calorie deficit. That's not a good quality of life. You want to get to the leanness that you want and then get into the maintenance phase. So you can enjoy life a little bit more. And you can come in and out of any of these 3 phases as your lifestyle permits. So there are the 3 main phases. And again, you can transition from any of those phases as you see fit.
That's very doable and very just user-friendly, because it could be, maybe we're in the cut phase and then we're going into the holidays. That could be more of a maintenance stage. And then as soon as January's New Year's resolutions kick in, you could go back to cut and then bulk if you want to. How do your cardio is interesting as far as your philosophy on that. Now, I'm just concerned, like in the cut phase, what if someone's like just already, or even, either one, maybe any of the 3 segments, if you're cutting and then doing cardio, and then could you be burning muscle if you're trying, even if you're lifting, because sometimes that calorie deficit can burn muscle?
You can, if you're in too of an aggressive cut or a calorie deficit for an extended period of time. And I say extended, meaning it could be several months. We don't we don't want to do that. And that's why you'll see in my program, I do not encourage that. And I encourage transitioning from cut to maintenance and bulk. But, cardio, I think, I struck a chord with a lot of people when I said that I do not recommend high intensity cardio. In fact, I endorse steady state cardio, such as walking or a light jog or elliptical. Nothing per se that's going to accumulate a lot of fatigue, because when you get into the gym, I want you to have 100% effort and energy when you're in the gym. And if you're doing high intensity cardio every day or every other day, you're accumulating systemic fatigue. Thus, when you get in the gym, you're not going to give that effort that's required to build muscle. So I start with that, and then you're right. It is possible to lose some muscle that you have in a cut phase if you're too aggressive with your deficit, which my plan goes, is endorsing a slow, maybe at 1% or 1 pound, for example, weight loss rate for most people per week. Okay, that's pretty safe, pretty generic pace to lose weight. And by being in a small calorie deficit and then putting some steady state cardio in on top of that. So let me back up one step. Number one most important thing to lose weight is being in a calorie deficit, just like we just talked about. To enhance that calorie deficit, to allow you to maybe eat a little bit more and to accelerate the weight loss, we layer on cardio on top of that. And cardio doesn't necessarily even have to be every day. I give a goal, an amount of minutes of steady state cardio within the program that I think support the weight loss effort and the calorie deficit.
Which would be half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour?
For example, I do 20 minutes a day on the elliptical. Okay, nothing that's increasing my heart rate to 85 or 90%. I do 20 minutes a day. And when I'm in a cut, I'm eating at about a 500 calorie deficit. I'm doing 20 minutes of steady state cardio. And then in most days, 5 or 6, I'm in my gym. If I'm not traveling or whatever, I'm in my own gym doing my workout plan. So that activity alone and the calorie deficit will allow you to lose weight. And if that is your goal, your waist size, your hip size, your clothes are going to feel better. And again, about 1%, or for most people, if it's hard to calculate the percentage or visualize that, that's about a pound per week for most people, being in a 500 calorie deficit. And again, my program will help you determine what that calorie number is each day.
What if
I don't know if I answered all those questions or not.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. What if you had a client that was, or your personal trainers had a client that was super overweight, and the 500 calorie deficit was just barely a drop in the bucket compared to what their maintenance every day? Would you still only recommend 20 minutes of light cardio?
Again, it depends, right? A lot of this is individual specific. So someone that's obese or even morbidly obese, then there could be some special parameters there. But I still think in the Formidable program allows the client or the trainer to calculate the rate of weight loss or the calorie deficit based upon your current weight. So if you're 300 pounds, the program will help you calculate what your calorie amount should be to lose about a pound per week. Now, can you get more aggressive with that if you're obese? Yes, and that's probably a good idea. It's also important that we not try to overdo it early on. We don't want injuries. We want people to stick with the program. But if you're 300 pounds, would I want you to do more than 20 minutes of cardio per day? Yes, I would. But is it appropriate, and can that client do it is the question. If they can and they're capable and they're motivated, then absolutely, we do more. Because again, I'm taking an approach of steady state cardio, which is much safer and keeps you moving. And again, it complements that calorie deficit. right? So no matter what your current weight is, no matter where you come into the program at, whether you're lean or obese or somewhere in between, the program allows it to be customized to where you're at that point. So where you're at in your lifestyle, in your weight, in your physique, it'll help you get into the calorie deficit, and it'll give you the correct amount for weight training and cardio.
I think that actually sounds better for someone that would be really intimidated by an hour of cardio, because if someone is obese or perhaps like around a 300-pound range, they may have knee problems, hip problems, it could be
Absolutely.
some joints. So I think that they would be willing to stay on it knowing that it's only 20 minutes versus a whole hour. Plus, I think that someone really overweight would not maybe want to do CrossFit. That's a lot of pounding. And that's
Absolutely. Again, this program is a physique improvement program. Maybe it's real quick. Maybe it's important to point out what it's not. It's not a powerlifting program. It's not a CrossFit program. It's not a program specifically designed to get you in the best cardiovascular shape of your life. You will improve your cardiovascular shape. You will get stronger. You will get more powerful. But the main goal, let's kind of call it what it is, it's to look better in the mirror, to be proud of the way you look, to be comfortable in the clothes that you wear, to be comfortable in your own body, to improve your own physique. That's what this program is all about. It has some overlap in terms of powerlifting, in terms of strength training, maybe even in terms of some CrossFit stuff, but it really is designed to improve your physique through losing weight, getting lean, and adding muscle. That's what the program
I think that's a good, it's and there aren't a lot like that, because most of them are so specific about losing weight or building. And I really love how yours incorporates, and that you can get in and out of any of the three. Now, because of the steady state cardio, do you look at your weightlifting program, as far as like the whole program in general, as almost more of a cardio session? Because sometimes you look at weightlifting, your heart rate's higher than even some cardio, the way that you're going about it. Do you recommend less pauses then? If you're on a 20-minute steady state cardio, maybe less pauses within all the reps of weightlifting?
Great question. So when you're in the gym, it would be surprise a lot of people that you're not burning as many calories as you think. Yes, you are working very hard in the gym, but generally for a short period of time. And you think about how many 15 or 20 reps require, how much time that requires, you're not per se burning as many calories as you might think, as if you were out jogging or walking, or again, your rate of calories isn't very high when you're walking or a light jog, but steady state cardio for a period of time is burning sufficient amount of calories. So I think I alluded to this earlier, but steady state cardio allows you to not accumulate a bunch of systemic fatigue. So when you're in the gym, I want you to have as much energy and effort as possible, because if I had to rank things in terms of improving your physique, and again, I'm coming at this from where people are most people come into the program where they want to lose weight and add muscle. So to lose weight, you've got into the number one, most important thing, you've got to get in that calorie deficit. Number two is to add muscle. And if adding muscle is important, then we need to support that by not killing ourselves doing cardio, high intensity cardio, things like that. We got to get in the gym and give 100% effort when in the gym, so that if you do 15 reps, you're giving 100% effort. If you're doing steady state cardio or doing high intensity cardio of some form, 3 or 4 or 5 or more days a week, then you're probably not giving 100% effort when it comes to the bodybuilding process and building muscle. Building muscle is hard. You've got to give it everything you've got, and you've got to hit the correct amount of volume to do that. And if everything's in place, then the muscle will come. But, that's why I really, and don't get me wrong, high intensity cardio has its place. Okay. But this is a physique program where we achieve the lower waistline, so to speak, through the calorie deficit, and we improve the muscle size, the arm size, the leg size, your back muscles through the weight training within the program.
Now, Stephen, how do you feel? Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about amount of reps? Because there's always the argument of women should do lower weights, higher reps. Men should do higher weight, lower reps. But it really depends. And there's so many. Is it 15 to 25? Some people do up to 45. Some people only do 10 to 12. What do you think, in your experience, in your opinion, have been the best maybe for you?
Another fantastic question. And most of my clients have, in my personal training business, my face-to-face business, were women. And that is a legitimate fear that they have. They don't want to get bulky, right? So there's a real fear about that. But again, let's come at this from the perspective that this is a physique program, okay? You'll never see in my program where I say you should do a 1 rep max. In fact, most of my rep ranges, I'm looking at one of my workout logs right now. The rep ranges that I want people to work in, there's nothing less than 8 reps. So you are, and again, and think about this from the perspective that I started writing the program, which is for largely people 40 and over. But again, it can work for anyone. I don't want anyone doing a 1 rep max. Number one, there's an injury risk. Number two, if you're doing a 1 rep max or even 2 reps or 3 reps, you're not building muscle. You need to have enough time under tension with the exercise that you're doing, enough reps to have that time under tension to really stimulate the muscle. And if you're doing 1 rep or 2 reps or 3 reps, okay, it's fun. Okay. And it's something you can tell your buddies that, hey, my 1 rep squat is this. But from a physique standpoint, you're not improving your physique by doing a 1 rep max. You've got to do the required amount of sets at the rep range that's required. Now for women, again, perspective wise, right? I'm natural. I've always been natural. I've never been an enhanced weight trainer or bodybuilder. I'm going to come at this from the perspective that most people listening to this are probably in that same bucket. Women are going to tone up those muscles fast, and they're going to tone up those muscles before they ever see themselves getting quote unquote too big. You're going to see the toneness. You're going to see the nice round shoulders, the tank top shoulders that most women want to see, the back, the legs tone. That being bulky doesn't happen overnight, right? And as a physique, if you're interested in improving your physique, what's the one thing you're doing? You're looking in the mirror quite a bit. Okay. And if you already love looking at yourself in the mirror, then this program's for you, right? Because you're trying to improve your physique.
LA market. So you're spot on.
But women don't have anything to fear about getting too bulky. And the rep ranges that I prescribe in the program also allow some flexibility. There's a heavier rep range, and again, maybe goes down to 8. So 8 to 15, let's call it. And then there's a bigger rep range that's from like 15 to 25. For me, again, I'm 5'9". I don't have necessarily a big frame. The higher rep counts work better for me, but I kind of walk people through within the program how to find out which of those rep ranges works best for you without getting too much into the technology, because now you're talking, are you fast twitch dominant, slow twitch dominant?
Right.
I kind of help you figure that out within the program. But women don't have anything to worry about getting too bulky. Men, again, because when you're looking in the mirror, if you are starting to get bulky, you're going to know it. You're going to see it because you're looking at yourself nearly every day, right? Because you're trying to evaluate your own physique. That help?
Absolutely. I'm a solid weightlifter. I always have been. And so many of my friends will not lift weights. They're afraid of that bulk. And I think sometimes when women do get bulky, that would mean they need to cut their calories a little bit, because it's just like, you've got to be able to see that muscle through less fat, and that fat will surround the muscle. And then that's where they're not seeing the tone, I think.
Exactly.
So it's kind of but even like I tell my friends, like, just curl at least a water bottle while you're watching TV or something. It's the tone.
If there is someone that's completely terrified of that, then definitely, generically speaking, start them at a higher rep range, say 15 or more, and see where it goes from there. But again, I'm coming at this from the perspective of most people are natural. If you're enhanced, then okay, you could get bulkier faster, but I think you've got really nothing to worry about. You will get toner, and then you'll start to add some muscle. Then you can adjust from there.
Absolutely.
If you don't like what you
It's
see.
unfortunately a big fear. Now, in the LA market, we have all of our gyms are completely shut down, and this is the mecca for fitness, and it's just kind of crazy that we don't have any gyms at all. I mean, you'll go to a park, you'll see weight benches stuck into trees. People are doing they have ropes hanging from trees, doing the elevation training, all these things.
Right.
What do you recommend? Because sometimes, and a lot of people have ordered their own gym equipment, and it takes a year to get I ordered a bunch from my mom, and it took like a year to on a waiting list to get some. I mean, she
And the
finally her gym
prices
opened
are
up.
ridiculous.
It is. So I think you can do a lot with your own body weight, but then again, you and I are very, privy to knowing how to be creative with that. Let's just say, for example, I have a couple guy friends who have lost. I mean, they were also competing or, planning to compete before COVID,
Right.
and they are losing so much bulk and mass no matter what they do, because they don't have access to that much weight, and you can't order that. They don't ship that much weight.
Sure.
What do you recommend for that, for guys that are just, or women also that are bodybuilders and they need to lift more weight?
So a couple things, if we're talking about someone that's already like an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Ronnie Coleman size,
Mm-hmm.
body weight, it's by itself will not help them sustain their current amount of muscle because they're
Right.
already huge, right?
Jacked.
For most folks that have a decent amount of muscle, body weight will help you maintain what you have, but trying to build upon that, honestly, just by doing body weight exercises, you're going to have a real hard time, and you're going to have to put in an enormous amount of volume to do that. So finding creative ways through the use of dumbbells or kettlebells. I mean, if you've ever tried to do it, for example, if you don't have access to a squat rack now and you can't barbell squat, but you want to improve or grow muscle in your quads or your hamstrings. If you've ever taken a pair of dumbbells and you've tried to do some lunges, some walking lunges with holding the dumbbells, or a Bulgarian split squat with dumbbells where your one leg is elevated in the back and you're dipping down with that front leg. Oh my God. And talk about the burn and the pump with just dumbbells. You can put some muscle on and at the very least sustain muscle by doing those types of things. Putting some weight on your back. I have a weighted vest that I use sometimes, which I'll put the weighted vest on and do some push-ups or do some air squats.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've got to get creative here. And if you're trying to sustain or grow some muscle, and you've got access to some dumbbells or kettlebells or some other, you mentioned a lamp or medicine ball or some other things like
I'm
that,
totally
right?
desperate. Yeah.
Something to grab, then yes. But the reason I originally, this time last year, I started writing the Formidable program, and then I kind of put it down for a little while, and then COVID hit, and I had to kind of close my doors for my face-to-face business. And I said, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to need some help here. There's going to be trainers and people that want to continue training that aren't going to be able to go to their gym. So I wrote this program to give people a real program designed by a personal trainer that is effective and gives you results that you can do at home. And I would say the minimum, if you have dumbbells or something like a dumbbell, you can get results with just those dumbbells. So you're right. The challenge of getting to a gym now is a problem. But if your gyms are opening up, this program you can take to your gym, and now you walk in those gym doors, you've got a real program. But if you have access to some weights at home, then you also now have an effective program that you can use at home Again, minimum requirements, I would say, would be dumbbells or something like dumbbells to do those, those types of lifts or weight training that's in the program.
Sure.
And the other thing, last thing I'll say on that is that in the program, again, as you're doing some evaluation of yourself and you're just looking in the mirror and you go, this is the area where I think I need to improve on. Let's just say it's biceps. You want your biceps aren't as big as you would like them to be. Well, there's an exercise selection list that I give in that for biceps that target the biceps that you can pick from. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do hammer curls or corkscrew curls or whatever, because I don't know what kind of equipment you have access to. I'm going to give you a pretty long list of exercises to pick from for bicep, tricep, quads, chest, shoulders, whatever the case may be, and then allow you, because they're all effective exercises, right? So based upon the equipment you have at home, or if you have the good fortune of having your gym open, whatever you have access to there, or the hotel gym that you're in, here's a list that you can pick from. Do what you can do with the amount of equipment that you have.
That's excellent. And would you, if someone were to be ordering and they have a choice between maybe all the dumbbells are gone, kettlebells, what do you recommend for maybe a beginner, kettlebell or dumbbell? There's an argument with both.
I think it's hard to beat dumbbells. You can do so much with them. Kettlebells, it's got a handle on it. You can still do some very effective tricep work. You can do some effective bicep work. I mean, if you've ever held a kettlebell in front of you and did air squats, kind of like a goblet squat, if you will. Kettlebells are awesome. There's a lot of different modalities that you can choose from, kettlebells or dumbbells. But if I had to pick, I think it's hard to beat the versatility of a set of dumbbells if you have access to it.
I tend to agree, because I think it's for kettlebell, for shoulder raises, you can kind of hit yourself in the head with that bell. It's kind of dangerous on that standpoint.
And again, I think because my program, the main focus of my program is a physique improvement program. Kettlebells lend themselves well to a CrossFit program or some other more cardio type programs. I love them. They're wonderful. But they are more for that type of program. You can't beat dumbbells for this type of program.
Sure. It's kind of the gold standard. And I love your recipes on your site. Can you explain, like, some of the ones that really caught my eye were the anabolic. Can you explain what anabolic means as far as the food goes in your metabolism, and one of your favorite recipes that involves an anabolic recipe?
So anabolic, just means you're eating enough protein to support the muscle growth. So when you're in the gym, it's no secret, an evidence-based approach and research says that if you're trying to add muscle, of course you need to have enough protein. And it typically works out to about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's what you want to eat every day to support that growth. And that can be a challenge for a lot of people. I'm 160 pounds. So that's 160 grams of protein that I need to eat each day if I want to support the effort I'm giving in the gym to build muscle. And I don't have a particularly big appetite. So I've never been a big eater. So I have to find creative ways to get protein into meals. And there are so many hacks, tricks, tips that I give on my social media pages that make that process so much easier. There's several things like egg whites and things like that, liquid egg whites, that really are helpful in terms of getting the protein in and not breaking the bank when it comes to calories. Because again, a lot of people are in a deficit here. So you can't just go eating a huge steak to meet your protein quota, because now, you're getting the protein in, but now you've just ratcheted up the calorie count, and that could potentially bring you out of that deficit.
Like a keto diet could be difficult. Yeah.
but there's so many alternatives to good protein sources that are not necessarily high in calories. That I started tracking a lot of these recipes that I call anabolic. They're not all necessarily anabolic. Some of them are regular meals that are just good, high quality, clean eating.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them, pancakes, for example, if you use egg whites or use pumpkin or banana and some other almond flour and some other things like that, you can make some delicious high protein meals or breakfast with those ingredients. And there's countless other ways to do that with dinner and breakfast and lunch and things like that. So
if someone wants like an easy way out with protein powder, that can go here or there. There's the whey, there's the soy, there's a lot of bad protein powders out there. If someone were to just stick with protein powder and not want to cook, or maybe can't afford to do so, what's the best protein that you recommend?
So might shock people, your listeners maybe, but I'm really suspicious of commercial protein powders. I'm not saying they're all bad, but you just don't know what's in them. So I make my own whey protein through the use of kefir grains, which I bought 5 years ago. I still have the same grains. You add milk to them, they create that natural probiotic, which also is a health benefit, but also as that process occurs, it produces whey protein. I make that myself. I'm not saying I'm kind of that 1%er, right? I'm one of those crazy people that look to do a lot of the things myself.
Mm-hmm.
So whey protein is fine. Just be careful if you choose to purchase it. Make sure, I would say, do the investigation, make sure it's tested by a third party or second party company that gives an honest evaluation of it, or verify the ingredients are what they are. Whey protein's fine, especially after a workout. Casein protein, fine. It's more of a slower digesting protein. Most people say they recommend taking a casein protein before bed because it's slower process. But I keep things really simple, and what I tell people is don't start with the supplements. Start by getting protein into your body every 4 to 5 hours, even 3 if you can do it. If you constantly have protein in your body because you just had chicken breast for lunch, or you just had an egg white omelet for breakfast, and then you go to work out at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you still have protein in your body. If you're getting the right amount of protein through each meal of the day, then supplementation isn't necessary. Now, I'm not saying there's not a place for it, because a lot of people struggle to get that amount of protein in that's required.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, having a supplement, a whey supplement, casein, any type of protein really is just fine. But if you can first start with the good quality food proteins, fish, chicken, beef, or egg whites. Egg whites is absolutely one of my liquid egg whites is actually one of my MVPs that I couldn't live without. But the theme of this really is, if you're eating protein at every meal and striving to get double-digit grams of protein in every meal that you eat, and if you snack, choosing a protein snack, then you've got protein in your body, and that is the baseline for supporting muscle growth. And then you can supplement as you see fit. But I'm still suspicious of. I do have casein protein, but I predominantly use it to make my own protein bars, which, by the way, is also in my recipe book, some chocolate protein bars. But I don't use it very often, and I don't. I use it when I need to, or when I'm on the go or something like that. But I think largely, if you're eating clean and eating protein, soy protein is fine. Any of that type of stuff, as long as it's protein, you're good.
I think I love your philosophy on just sticking with the basics and the clean protein, because a lot of these protein shakes are, I mean, really, honestly, if you look at the ingredients list, there's so much sugar, and they're really high in calories. So if someone's in a cut phase needing to maintain protein, these protein shakes aren't, I mean, if you're desperate, I guess, and on the road, but
Yeah.
the best is the clean diet.
Especially if you're in a cut phase, you have to, every meal you should be thinking about double-digit protein grams in every meal you eat, because you're already in a calorie deficit. So the amount of food you eat, you've got to be careful. So you can't really skip a meal without having protein. You've got to take advantage of it at every meal and every opportunity to get that protein in.
Absolutely. Now, as we wrap up, I love the program because due to the gyms being shut down and some people struggling with, with their salaries, if they do have gyms, I think this is a great program, and it's only $97, correct?
That's right, $97, and that's yours for a lifetime. There's no monthly commitments. It is a program that you download. You printable workout logs. It's one thing I didn't touch on was the meso and micro. Maybe we should, if we have a few more minutes, I'll touch on what that is.
Let's please do that.
But when you purchase the program, it is yours. There's no strings, and I support all the folks that purchase the program through my social media applications. I continue to give support, and again, a lot of tips and tricks, and whether it be nutrition or with weight training, I give a lot of that support through my social media apps. But it is your program. Once you purchase it, it's your program. You've got the workout logs. You've got the program itself. There's 10 steps to getting started, all the way from taking those measurements, or those initial measurements of your hip and your waist and your various other measurements and your scale weight, things like that, to helping you understand the calorie deficit number that you need to target. There's 10 steps that might take you 20 minutes to have everything you need to get started.
That's great.
But the basis is that.
Go ahead.
Yep. Sorry. Did you have?
Can you plug it? I'll put it in all the links as well. Can you plug your social media, everything, how they can get the programs? I mean, I'll put it in the links, of course, but can you just tell us? So
Facebook, Formidable Gym 1, Instagram, Formidable Gym. My email is formidablegym@gmail.com. Those are and there's a sales page link that I sent to you, Anne, that would be great if you could post that too.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, that's the way to get a hold of me. I provide almost all of my support and advice, tips, tricks through those social media apps.
Wonderful. And then just highlighting back among your 3 programs of the cut, maintenance, and build, you have the micro and the meso stages. Can you touch on that?
So in the personal training industry or in the bodybuilding industry, everything's kind of scheduled in terms of blocks, right? So all this really simply is a micro cycle is typically 1 week. And a mesocycle is typically nothing more than about a month, right? So in my program, it's 5 weeks or 5 micros in one meso. And what happens is, so the first week you're in the program, and it's more or less specifically for the weight training aspect of the program, right? So in micro 1, AKA week number 1, there's a certain amount of volume, which is sets and reps that I want you to do to support the muscle growth. And then each micro after that, the parameters change, right? We use, in terms of periodization, we're using a concept called progressive overload. So to build muscle, you have to keep increasing the stimulus for that muscle to force the muscle growth, so to speak. So week 1, the volume is one thing. Week 2, we're trying to add a bit more volume through an extra set, for example, or even adding a little bit more weight. And by the time you're done the 5th week, we're accumulating more volume through sets, and we're constantly pushing the envelope by adding more weight to the bar or the dumbbell, right? Not a lot of weight at each time, but we're adding more weight, we're adding more volume. And then when you get to the end of that 5th micro, then we deload, which means we take a break.
Okay.
And there's a reason why we do that. We take a break because that 5th week especially, but all the other weeks, you've also accumulated some fatigue as well. We want to give the mind and the muscles a break. And, you're, by the time that 5th week is over, you've put in an awful lot of volume. And now we need to give the muscles an opportunity to rest. And that's what the concept is through that deload, is just taking that break, that mental break. And now by the time you get back in and you start the next mesocycle, now you're fresh. Now the muscle is ready to go again. And then you continue with that progressive overload through the next mesocycle.
That seems very tangible. And for the week, do you do all 7 days, or is there a day off?
Again, this is, for me, I'm in the gym probably 6 days a week, but, and I think this has to be tailored to the individual, right? Does the individual have an opportunity to work out 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week? Whatever that amount is, my program will help you design a workout for you. And
Sure.
Some cases, you might be able to work out 5 days in 1 week, but maybe only 3 in the next week. Again, the amount of volume is important to muscle growth. If you get the volume in, regardless of how many days you're working out, then you've hit your marks. You've now done enough volume to support muscle growth. And that's one of the goals that in a physique program, right?
Again, very doable. So this whole program, again, is for personal trainers to purchase, and also consumers that can, if they're motivated on their own, can certainly do that. And it's just, it's so well laid out, and you've obviously done all the research, and I hope that you can bodybuild again and be on stage. I would love to see that for you. And it just
Thank you.
gives you a better ethos for the program. And can you share, before you leave, your favorite, when you were in the maintenance stage all summer, what was your favorite treat that you got to eat?
Favorite treat? Well, I still love, I love beer, Anne. I hate to say it, but I really love IPAs.
Sure.
It's really hard to be in a calorie deficit and have an IPA, right? But, that I purposely wanted to enjoy a little bit more of the summer. I don't have a whole lot of cheat meals, to be honest with you. I don't know why. It's just, again, maybe I'm
But you're not a big eater, whereas some people are.
I'm not a big eater. I'm one of those 1%ers. You're not going to see me eating a lot of junk food at any time, no matter what phase I'm in. I'm one of those weirdos, right? But I do like a heavy beer occasionally. But I haven't had pizza in over a year, I would say. But I love pancakes, but I make them in a healthy fashion, and an anabolic fashion, right? There's a lot of other foods I like the same that some people would look at and go, well, you're having a cheat meal. And I'm going, no, it's high protein, healthy ingredients. It's not, right. And it's delicious.
Yep. And the word cheat can kind of conjure up in our minds like, oh, we're doing something bad, when you're not. And you absolutely can enjoy beers. And I'm glad you did all summer. And hopefully you got to some kind of state fair or beer garden that was maybe open. Yeah.
It's the beauty of flexible dieting, right? Again, I'm not mandating you have a specific type of meal or ingredient. I'm defining what your calorie limit is in a cut phase, and you can eat whatever you want. As long as you stay under that number, then you're going to lose weight. Okay. Now, some people that will plateau, that we need to look at other macros and things like that. But flexible dieting approach is the ultimate in flexibility, where you can eat what you want and just stay under that calorie deficit number, and you'll lose weight.
Excellent. But I think a final point on that is, it's so important to keep track of the calories, like via FitnessPal, if you're not doing it alone, because people go way overboard. I've seen the research where they think they're only eating, I'm only eating 1,600, and they track them. And it's up to 2,400, and they had no idea. It's the mindless snacking. It's the extra things. And by the way, I love your coffee recipe, because people that, go to these fancy Starbucks, like I love Starbucks, I mean, these are 300 calorie macchiatos. I mean, just loaded. That's a burger.
I was surprised myself a few years ago, and I couldn't believe how many calories I was actually putting into my coffee. I'm making my own coffee at home, but in terms of even half and half or some sugar or things like that, it's incredible the amount of calories that you're stuffing into your coffee. There's plenty of delicious alternatives Granted, it might be a powder creamer now that's sugar-free and very low in calories, but you got to make a compromise. You can't continue stuffing sugar and heavy creams.
And to drink it is kind of a waste, drinking calories.
Salad dressings are another one that people just go, they think they're having a fat-free salad dressing, but the amount of calories is just incredible. You've got to be really careful.
No, there's so many things, but well, you're certainly, you certainly have done really well for yourself in all the programs that you've created and what you've done. And any future goals for yourself besides the bodybuilding competition?
No, I'm just, again, 52 years old. I'm, as I mentioned to you before that, my mission statement is what kind of motivates me every day. And that's to kind of create that legacy for my family. I'd love when people say, oh, you can't possibly be 52. And I say, I'm 52 and I've got 5 grandkids. So, and I get a lot of weird looks, but, improving your physique at 52 and looking awesome and feeling confident, I love that. And, that's my goal every day. That's what motivates me, is just creating that legacy for my family, for the people I work with, for my clients, and just saying that, high levels of fitness and health can be achieved at any age, and your best days are still ahead of you.
Wonderful. And that, on a good note, that it's wise words from Stephen Jones of Formidable Fitness, or Formidable Physique. And again, you can find him on Facebook at Formidable Gym 1, Instagram at Formidable Gym, and the email is formidablegym@gmail.com, correct?
You got it.
Awesome. Stephen, thank you so much. Best to you and your family. And we'll be in touch for sure.
All right, Ann. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And that was Stephen Jones and his Formidable Physique program that you can find in the show notes below. This is also a valuable tool for personal trainers. Please stay tuned in next week, where I feature TED Talk speaker Alexandra Catalano, her popular Eat Cute wellness business, and the foods she suggests for a total body makeover. We appreciate you for listening, and please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. You can also listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Luminary, TuneIn, or at Bleav.com. You can reach out to me for any questions or topics you'd like covered on the show at Anne McDaniels. And I'll see you next time on SoCal Sweat.